Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Firdaus bin Bakri, and I'm gonna present to you panel which are Dr. Mazlina and Dr. Amirul Abdul Rashid, I guess. And this final year project under the title of OSHA requirement of gas fire suppression system in electrical substation consultancy. So under the supervision of Dr. Nora Yusuf. And so for the introduction, as we know, the substation, the electrical substation load is expanding in simultaneously with industrial growth and rising human standards of life. In contrast to other kinds of buildings, substations include a large amount of electrical equipment such as transformer, which may be overloaded and result in an explosion if not properly protected. Consequently, the number of electrical cause fire increased years after year, resulting in significant damage to the nation and its people. So, in order to prevent a fire, it is essential that the substation be well built fire suppression to withstand the fire. So, in the term of fire safety approach, practically, an electrical substation requires more sensitive method compared to other buildings. A high standard of fire safety management is required too for transformer building, not only to protect people but as well to protect the electric contents and the structure of the building itself. So for the research and review, based on the research study about all the general knowledge about electrical substation, inert gases, what is active and passive firefighting, that we know active firefighting is like sprinkler, fire extinguisher, hose reel, etc. Meanwhile, the passive firefighting is floor plan planning, such as compartment, fire door to avoid fire spread more faster to another department. So, in terms of electrical substation, we know that this building is full of electric equipment. So the use of firefighting inside this substation is gas fire suppression type. Some types such as Helen 1301, Fe36, and all chemical that get from the reference used in gas suppression system in electrical distribution substation. As a result, the scope of this project is restricted to electrical substation using FM200 gas suppression system principle. So the problem statement that I review all the research study paper. As we know, the Malaysian electrical substation must fulfill the standards of CCC, that stand for Certificate of Compliance process to establish a building such as the electrical substation, which means a professional consultant such as architect, electrical and civil engineer, that call principal submitting person, PSP, that ensure the safety of the building in order to establish a substation. So, the issue starts when the requirement of fire safety protection system for distribution substation is not provided in the compliance document at one consultant company that expert in electrical substation establishment and only has a available rough or general guideline for substation fire prevention. So the general guidelines mean all type of firefighting in one manual. So when we talk about general guidelines, it takes so much time and works to differentiate from the general manual to more specific guide. For an example, what would he see other than his expertise project to complete his work? Such as, why would he see the water fire system while he wants to complete the job that use gas firefighting system? So this when some PSP do not have the guidelines it is difficult to evaluate if the safety measures they have in place are sufficient to meet their electrical standard as well. And for this reason, my project is to create a set of guidelines focusing on all aspects of FM200 gas fire suppression system used in electrical distribution substation that has been gathered together with other reference to assist in the evaluation of PSP to take necessary measure without wasting time trying to find and differentiate between the general and specific guidelines. And the scope and limitation of this project, the scope of the project is to provide a detailed set of guidelines for PSP for consultant via desktop research. As we know, the desktop research limitation is quite common, such as the lack of resource, a limited sample size, inadequate procedure, and time constraint to follow up and explore numerous areas of fire suppression in depth. And one more is the absence of the computer-based simulation for passive or active fire protection building design, which is employed in some electrical substation structure. So the methodology starts when the student identify the problems occur in some consultant company that dealing with substation construction. Then studies on past research papers that related to the project. Next, the student design the flow plan based on the TNB standard design using the AutoCAD. So research after research, students highlights the main parameter that important in gas firefighting system in general guidelines. And to be expected, the planned outcome of this project is to provide guidelines for the FM200 gas fire suppression system, as well for the electrical distribution substation standard design. This design will be utilized to determine the parameter and consist of FM200 gas system and all the performance of important characteristic of the clean agent mentioned. So this is the critical parameter that will be determined based on OSHA that be provided in the guideline as well. So as a summary, this project is about providing a comprehensive gas fire system for electrical substation in Malaysia, which will be accordance with Occupational Safety and Health Administration rules, NFPA, that stand for National Fire Protection Associate Codes and Standards, and in the majority cases, the significant Malaysia firefighting guidelines. So the important parameters, relevant elements and requirements for controlling the fire are taken into consideration in order to assess the efficiency of the fire system before recommending the best strategy to maximize the output response for greater efficiency and effectiveness. The AutoCAD is utilized to propose a building plan design based on rules and regulations. I think that's all from me. This is my Gantt chart and reference, and Assalamualaikum.